We've really been getting after this. This is part four of the mirrored holographic reality, and sandwiched in between one, two, and three was reshaping the reality within in your inner self. Powerful. We've gone into the depth, and then having that part one and two of that, which was a video I shared, and I give a shout out again to into the Children of Ra, that channel, for a really good video that really went with what I was doing in an inner thing of practice, and I really appreciate, because I thought that those last two videos went hand in hand with the series of what we can do with it. Now we have the knowledge why other people in science said it, why the other Buddhists said it, why Hinduism says it, why the I Ching and Taoism said it, mentioned the same things. And now we're doing Buddhism today, and we'll finish the series with how Gnosticism said it. And Gnosticism definitely went deep in it with talking about the emanations of mirrors of light. But anyways, let's share and get into this. We've gone deep into the series already. No reason to stay quiet or stay away. Let's do this. All right. So we're talking about the holographic reality of this series, and this being number 4. We went through science, we went through Hinduism, we went through the I Ching, which was connected to philosophy and Taoism. Now we're going into another ancient, and I had mentioned in the other videos that these the ancient teachings of Buddhism and Taoism and this were all connected. They all had esoteric and exoteric in it. Esoteric and exoteric aren't new to just to Christianity. All of them have it. So there's been programming with all of them, and there's been truth with all of them. Usually whoever the government gets control, they want to program your ass. And then the people who want to wake up will wake up and find it. And the people who have that heart for the people, the actual ones who do, not the ones that fake the funk, don't. So the truth comes out with the chaff in the corn, right? So let's get into this. We've been talking about the holographic reality. A Buddhist philosophy, the concept of mirrored holographic reality suggests that our perception of reality is a projection of the mind, akin to looking at a reflection in a mirror. This reflection is not true representation of the reality, but rather a mental construct influenced by our perceptions, past experience, social norms. Just as a mirror reflects an image that is not the actual object, but our mind creates a version of reality based on interpretations and assumptions. We've seen that over and over, right? The illusion of self, the elaboration. Let's see better with this. Buddhism emphasizes that our sense of self, also a mental construct, a projection, similar to the image we see in a mirror. We tend to identify these mental images. I see them all the time. What I want to see right now, I can see if I choose to see it. I can go back to the past to an experience, right? Right now, I can go back to an experience I had, and even go to that place where I had that experience and actually feel it and actually experience it again if I want to. Think about that. I'll have the ability for that. The idea of a mirrored reality and the relative nature of reality highlights the relative nature of experience or perceptions, not absolute truths, but rather interpretations that arise by significant conditions and constantly changing. Liberation through understanding. By recognizing that our reality is a mental projection, like a projector in a mirror, we can begin to detach from the illusion towards liberation. This understanding can lead to the more balanced, less reactive approach to life. And I'm going to even use something else. I'm going to use movies. Notice in movie theaters, many of us have gone to movies. You're milked for this in this reality too by them that run the reality. I'm just going to be honest, especially without knowledge. When you don't know and you wake up, you realize that's happening. But think about it. You go to a movie theater, they put a reel in, right? Notice a reel. Real reality, but it's a REEL. Reel. And it does this, right? It loops. As the film loops, it kicks in to a projector. It goes through the process of going through the projector, and then the projector kicks out what's on that film right into the screen. Notice it's a film. Notice on your eyes you have what? Film that cover and protect your eyes. Also, you have hair, which is like an antenna. This goes with this, what I'm talking about, with projecting frequency, vibration, and frequency through what I'm doing in the reality of the mirror imaging or the projector, because you're the projector also. So you have this hair, which is an antenna, right? You have the third eye, which is like the bulb or light. You have your eyes. Like I said, they have film over them. And then this projects onto the screen and you watch the reality go around. A projector. Think about that. Pretty deep. You can go in deep. That's how they actually do the wood. The wood uses the same concept to make movies. So the holographic aspects comes into play. Holographic metaphor I'm going to use. Or did I read Liberation Through Understanding? By recognizing our reality is a mental projection, like a reflection in a mirror, we can begin to detach from the illusion, move towards the liberation. This understanding can lead to a more balanced and less reactive approach. So what's it telling you? That this reality that we're in is not really reality, it's an illusion. But once you learn how to liberate yourself from the illusion, you're going to the right states and the right beings of it, creating your own reality and maybe another reality. I know somebody that's really Archaics, I'll shout out to Archaics, feels this is like the negative, almost like a negative of a film or picture of the real reality copycat, which is actually really Gnosticism, says this, the copycat. More balanced, less reactive approach to life. The holograph aspect comes into play as each part of the perceived reality contains information about the whole, just as each point on a hologram contains complete image. I said this in the last video, and no matter how much the interconnectedness emphasizes a very Buddhist school such as Hayun or Huyang Buddhism, that's a concept of Indra's net. Indra's net, which like anything with what you find out more and more with any of these aspects, we found that out in the very first aspect that we learned about Hinduism, was there's different schools of teaching in Hinduism, almost like another section or sect, the Indra's net. Ultimately, Buddhist teachings encourage us to look beyond the surface appearances, the mirrored reality, to understand the true nature of existence, which is often described as emptiness, as Buddha's nature. The emptiness is the darkness that we found out in the science. And the very first one we did was they said the black hole held all of the light. And I'm saying that black hole's that emptiness that Buddha's talking about in the monad, which Gnosticism's talking about, and the science of the black hole, which science is talking about. It's the same thing. The monad, going to Pleroma, right, in Gnosticism. Ultimately, beyond the illusion, teaching encourages to know beyond the surface of the appearances, the surface on the appearances. Remember, the surface was created by two-dimensional reflection making 3D, right? Do you remember that? The duality reality, yin and yang. To understand the true nature of existence often describes the emptiness or the Buddha nature. Buddha goes into nothingness. I don't have to do this. I am the all. I came to the space of not coming back again. Why? Because I redeemed everything I need to. I don't need to come back unless I want to be a bodhisattva. And you know what bodhisattva's jobs are? If somebody wants to be a bodhisattva, guess what they do? They come back again because they want to help people wake up. Sounds like Sophia, because this is where it's missed when you look at prison plans, but you're overlooking Sophia, who unlocks the prison. Let's look deeper in like we did last time into the what the AI, what the artificial one says. Let's see if it has anything different. The Buddhist concept, the mirrored holographic reality, resonates with several core teachings, particularly related to the nature of perception, the interconnectedness of the phenomenon, and the ultimate unreality of the inheritance, existence, emptiness, and the sunyata. The illusion of separate self and external reality. Buddhism emphasized that our ordinary perception of distinct solid self separated from an equally solid external world is an illusion. Our minds, influenced by past experience, social norms, and the five aggregates, form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, create a subjective holographic projection or interpretation of reality. Reality is a reflection of the mind. Mirror serves as a powerful metaphor in Buddhism, symbolizing the mind's ability to reflect the shape or experience of the reality. Just as the mirror reflects without judgment, without distortion, when polished. A free mind from afflictions, biases can perceive the true nature of the reality. Interconnectedness, independent or origination. Buddhist teaching, like independent origination, highlight the interconnected, interdependent nature of the phenomenon. Nothing exists in isolation, everything arises independent. Other factors, according to Inside Meditation Society, the idea aligns with a holographic principle, which the whole is contained with each small part, with each part, as seen in the analogy of Indra's net, which is really that's the fractals of light that we all are, is just like Indra's net and Gnosticism, which we'll cover in the last part of this. Emptiness, sunyata. The concept of sunyata or emptiness doesn't mean the nothingness, but rather the lack of inherent independent essence of all things. Phenomena are empty of a fixed, unchanging essence because they arise independently, according to Oxford Bibliograph's understanding. Emptiness allows us to see through the illusion of solid, separate reality, appreciate ever-changing, interconnected nature. The idea that the universe might be a hologram, while not a literal Buddhist doctrine, offers an interesting modern lens through which to explore these profound concepts. It suggests that our perceived reality is manifestation of a deeper underlying information or principles, reflecting the Buddhist emphasis on the mind and the role constructing our experience, and the ultimate interconnectedness, emptiness of the phenomena by the cultivating mindfulness of wisdom, which we call wisdom, a feminine aspect. Buddhists aim to see beyond the illusions of the mirrored, projected reality to perceive the true nature of existence, ultimately leading to liberation from the suffering. Liberation from what? The suffering. What reality do we find suffering in? This one. Just have to make those true points. You can't wrestle with truth because truth doesn't care about your feelings. It's our growth that has to come through them. It really does. That really has to come through that aspect. Very powerful. This is 4. I see we're only 15 minutes in because I got in it right away. But you've seen the mirroring aspects of these different teachings that are ancient to us And science is now getting the hang of it, that it's also making sense in some of their scientific findings, especially with quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and all the quantums, quantum leap, right? And all this are looking at this and seeing us, and then they're saying, oh, shoot, these groups of people were saying this multiple, maybe even millenniums ago, as we went far back as I Ching, and that's 5,000 years. The I Ching's 5,000 years. Buddhism's what, 25 to 3,000 years? Gnosticism, 15 to 20. We haven't got to that one. That will be the last of our series, will be the Gnosticism and the mirrored holographic reality. As even it gets into its teachings of the realms, and the fragments and the emanations of light, which go with what this was even said in the science, that every particle or hologram holds the aspect of all of it. And you could take a hologram, cut it and cut it and cut it, and every time you cut it, the all is in every piece still. It doesn't go away. You can't destroy it. It's there. That's heavy to me. Very, very profound. Very, very enlightening and profound, and our reality is being found. And then take the previous two videos and apply it to your meditation to be one with it. Rebuild your temple and learn to be the creator and the manifester, and learn how to create and learn how to get spaces of peace. Learn that you're the power within. The silence in between the breaths is your power play. You're rebooting of yourself. The changing and lifting up of your frequencies connected to that. I remember I heard what he said. He said, it's not about all your affirmations. It's about your frequency and upgrading it through the breath was the open door, the password. And I see that. It makes sense to me. The breath speaks louder in its silence than to the frequencies around when you get in these spaces, because it aligns with them. You're getting alignment of who you are with the energetic field, your aura, the quantum fields around you, your aura, which is totally going around you. Why do you think they told us to stay 6 feet out from each other during that time? It's all got to do with the quantum field. They know we don't know. The sheep will keep sheeping, believe everything they're taught. Ooh, that's called telling the truth and spilling the beans and not playing the games anymore. We're in a space where we really got to come real with ourselves. I know I try to talk to some folks, and I don't think they see where we're at because they don't see it. And why? What? And you might say, D, what are you saying? I think what I'm saying is that certain things are happening now because it's aligning with the times. And if you look at everything outside you with discernment, not to be condemned by them or not to join that part or be aligned with it, but to look at it with discernment. There's a lot of things that were created in the 60s and the 40s that now are being manifested now. And I seen this, and I realize there's some things coming on with war, with the things of opening the borders, things that are happening in Europe. Do you guys even pay attention to what's happening in Europe? The Irish just went off and told the Muslims, get back, Jack, we run our country. And it was like a head to the head. You know, it was almost like what you see ICE and what's going on with that. This was the Irish and the Muslims in Russia, and the Irish stood up and said, this is our country. We're Christian. You don't run it. This to me is just a sign of alliance of the time, because there's an overall play in this. And that overall play is with Israel, or is it Rael, or is it real? Is it a REEL, like the projector with the movies that we learned earlier today? That's heavy. Think about that. That's the wood. What's the wood do? We found out what's connected to the wood. We found out what's connected to the wood. But it's not that. If you really pay attention, and a lot of people don't. I used to be really a sporto. I was raised by my family, both sides, step side, mom side of sports was life. I'm going to be honest, on both sides. Raised that. very much engulfed and embedded in me. Played, coached, all that stuff. Sons played. Yeah. Cousins played. All that. Definitely inbred in our family. Taught. Everybody was a sporto. And then when I look at pro sports now, we got men dressed as women, calling themselves women, playing sports. Just a lot of weirdness going on. Wolfy stuff. I call it weirdo wolfy stuff going on when you look at the outer world. I was taken because I knew we were told this 2020 version was all about depopulation, if you know what I'm talking about, the old Cooteyville. But then when I look at it, I go, this was put into play a long time ago because it is in full bore, the depopulation. Many people don't understand how deep we are in depopulation, that it's going to be critical of what's going to happen. And it's not far down the line what's going to happen in different. I mean, you have the 3 Asian countries that had definitely had high populations in the past. The 3 lowest population, they're the 3 lowest. Korea, number 1, with all their Korean love-making films and all their find the right man and, make you feel good stories. It's not making people have babies there. They're the lowest birth rate in the world, followed by Japan and China. This is already having situations develop. And why I'm saying this is these plans in the simulation, what's coming. Unless you know some of these codings of the Book of Revelations, some of the stuff you're going on, I went over the fact that they were telling us there, and I'll be closing in a second, that in the Bible it talks about the last day. I don't think the Bible's necessarily always a great history book, but it is definitely a coded book. Not always a great history book, but it's definitely a coded book. And you say, what are you saying? I'm saying it's coded with stuff. When it tells you, like in the days of Jonah, so shall it be in the Son of Man. Like it to the days of Noah, so shall be it. And you look around and all them scriptures, those 2, Jonah and Noah, and you go, my God, it's happening now. Full bore. Think about it. Giving in marriages, overweightness, at foods of God, their bellies are God, their gods are belly, right? All these scripture, being effeminate, all this stuff that it says, and I go, it's happening. Well, the depopulation's in full bore, and it's happening here in America. Don't get it wrong that it isn't happening here. It is. Men and women are not marrying younger ones. A lot of it's that. A lot of it's when you disguise something, and a lot of it's been what we call feminism, which is not, it's really toxic masculinity that women have taken on, and they're not good at toxic masculinity. They're actually worse than the men are. Which I have another philosophy about that spiritually, that it's really leading us into true restoration of the feminine spirit. That's not it. I mean, they don't even want to be mothers. They want to attack men and say they're all no good. And I don't know if you know, but it's out there. Some of you may not even know what's going on. But all these things are happening at once. Now we have the wars and we have all this stuff happening. And so I'm like, everything's moving fast in that way too since 2020. You know what I'm talking about? Cooteyville. Yeah, but we also know those ones who are waking up spiritually and ascending, it's happening fast. 24 hours is just like a slip of a day. Sometimes a minute can feel like 24 hours. Put that together. That's a little bit of a jewel if you can decode it with a deeper sense of self, of what that would decode or revelation, what you can get out of that little philosophy saying. Sometimes 24 hours can seem just like a slip of a day. And sometimes a minute can feel like a lifetime. Think about that. And that's actually a song called T for One. I think it's T for One, right? Led Zeppelin Presence, which is heavy because that word presence is something I'll be bringing out soon. But anyways, this was part 4 of the holographic reality. We went into Buddhism, which really starts getting intensely of what into even declaring that it's an illusion, right? that it's an illusion. And it says if you Buddha was the one that got through the illusion, and guess what Buddha chose not to do once you get through the illusion? You don't have to come back again. Why is he not wanting to come back again if it's the host of what you needed to do? Is it really not the, or is it just a lower realm that we must ascend out of? Because this doesn't change. But anyways, but we do, and we have the power to. Empowering the West Coast Uncensored Nation to be all you can be, spiritually, mentally, physically, and creatively. And don't spiritual bypass, but go through it, because going through it is power. You guys have a rest of a great evening. I did 4 videos today. I put the work in, so you guys have a great day.